Hello everybody. Today I will be giving you a quick and short tutorial on how to import data into MySQL Workbench from a CSV file. Here I will be importing data into the Forest Glen Inn database, pardon me. Um, so this is a database from previous semester, so it's not the same one as the current semester, so don't worry about having different content as me. This is just a dummy database I'm using to make this tutorial. So my goal here is to import data into the guest table. So let's take a look at the guest table here. So I have three columns, a guest ID, a last name, and a first name, and I have 6 records in here. So my goal is to import another 6 records in here just to give you an example of how this is done. So in order to do so, I did create a sample data on Excel, and I created 2, and you'll see why in a second. So here is my sample data. I have 6 records. They are different than the records we have in MySQL Workbench already. So here you go. So I have 6 records with guest ID 1 through 6, which are the same guest IDs we have here. But let's see what happens when we import that data in here. So in order to import data, you go to the table you want to, first the database you want to import data in, then the table. You right click on that table, you go to Table Data Import Wizard, and it prompts you with a window. Here you're going to have to put in the path from where you're importing the data. So in this case, we are choosing our CSV file. Next, here you have the option of either importing the data into the table that you selected originally, or you can even create a new table in that same database, but you'll have to give it a different name. So we're interested in importing data into an existing table. So let's go ahead and hit next. Here we can see all the records that I want to add. Well, not all of them, but this is just a preview, so they won't show you all of them. They're just showing us 5 out of the 6. Usually they only show 5 records in the preview. It's not a big deal if they're not showing all the records, because that will be done later. So here it's showing us all of our columns, guest ID, last name, first name, and we are matching them together. So I have guest ID, last name, and first name as well. So I click next, click next, click next. 0 records were imported. That means that the import did not fail. It didn't give me an error, but it did not import the records I wanted to import from my CSV file. The reason behind that is we have the same guest IDs that we have over here. So MySQL will not override or overwrite any data that is already existing in a table if it has the same unique identifiers. In this case, the guest ID is a primary key. So what I did instead is I just changed the guest ID number for the data records I wanted to insert. So instead of having guest IDs ranging from 1 through 6, they are ranging from 7 through 12 this time. So that being said, let's go ahead and give it another shot with the other data set. So again, table data import wizard. Here I'm going to browse. I'm going to pick this one, which is the updated version that I just showed you with the different guest IDs. I'm going to hit next, and avoid creating a new table, because the whole point of forward engineering your ERD is having an existing structure for your database, existing tables. So if you create new tables every time you're going to do a data import, that's not going to be good for your database itself. So we hit next. Same thing. Here we can see that my guest IDs have changed. So I know I'm using the right CSV files. I'm going to hit next. Next again. 6 records were imported. So that's how I know that my data import was successful. But let's go ahead and double check just in case. So I'm going to refresh my schemas and I'm going to preview my table, and the data has been successfully imported here. Now, something I want to highlight, MySQL is very iffy with their versions. So here I have column headers. Some versions do not support column headers. So there are some versions where you're literally just going to have to do this. And since the tables in the database already have column headers, it's just gonna use those. But hopefully you can use column headers in your CSV and it's not going to cause you an issue. If it does, just try to remove them from there. One thing I also need to emphasize is when you have your Excel sheet, make sure it's a CSV file. And there are multiple CSVs. Um, If you have a Windows machine, this one is the safest one, CSV MS-DOS, or if you have a Mac, CSV Macintosh is the safest one. So before you import data, make sure that your file is in the correct format, just to avoid any problems. Hope this helps, and take care.